Hello, everybody. My name is Leo, and welcome to another episode of How's It Going, a casual talk show based on topics loosely related to real estate. Just a reminder for y'all watching at home, the information we cover in today's episode and in all episodes are meant for informational and entertainment purposes and not as material advice. So be sure to conduct your own research before making any material decisions. Anyways, so into this week's guest, I have someone very special. She is a old coworker, a good friend, a past client, and a solar expert. So everybody, please welcome Badiana Badio. How are
Hey,
you?
hey, Leo. Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me on the show. It's an honor.
Yeah,
Um, that lovely introduction.
thank you.
Uh,
Thank you. Love the outfit. Everything is so well coordinated.
Thank you. You know, I pride myself on my little fashion, so got to
hmm
present myself nicely.
Definitely. And I know I probably haven't given you the full introduction, so would you mind just telling the folks here a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, of course. It's always such a weird question. You're like, oh, what do I say to that? But
Yeah.
okay, a little bit about me. I am a fun-loving, positive, empathetic life enthusiast. And I also happen to be a regional sales manager for Sunrun.
Mhm.
It's the number one residential solar energy company in the United States right now.
Wow.
I've been in the solar industry for since 2016, so about 4 years. And the solar industry actually found me. So I'm a person who loves to find new ways to communicate effectively with people and make it a daily impact. And this industry has allowed me to do that.
That's awesome. Yeah. And just for y'all back home, the solar industry is just such a quick growing industry, and 4 years in this industry is like forever in other industries.
You're exactly correct. 4 years in solar industry is like 12 years in any other industry.
Yeah, definitely. So anyways, as with all episodes, we have the option for you, the viewers, to donate to a charity of the choice of the guest. Just if you've gotten some value or if you feel the cause is near and dear to you, we'd appreciate if you donate to the charity of this week. And Badiana, would you mind just explaining a little bit about what you picked and why?
All right. So, everyone, I picked the Black Lives Matter Global Fund. And obviously, it's not a secret that the protests against police brutality and recent unjust murders of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, to name a few, have gotten millions to take action toward dismantling both overt and subtle racist ideologies, and policies that's entrenched in America today. So for me, this was the only charity that made sense to highlight on this show. So, of course, being a young Black woman, American young Black woman, this whole movement touches my heart near and dear. I've struggled with various situations in my life that were unjust, and I've been fortunate to have really strong support systems to be able to get through that. But not everyone is as fortunate as me. So I definitely want to be able to share my piece and share this donation, this charity, so people can help give people like me and younger people in my color group a fair chance and an ability to make a difference in this world, and hopefully create change where they can live freer and not live in fear and have the same opportunities that other people
Yeah, very well said.
do.
And it's just such a relevant topic now, especially with what's going on. And I think it's incredible, just the movement itself and how much action that people have been taking, not just around America but around the world, to sort of bring racial equality and give everybody a fair chance. Just, you know, scientifically speaking, we're all the same. We
Yeah,
all have the same components, everything. And it's only like, hey, your skin's a little different, your background's a little different. And yeah, I think it's great that everyone's fighting for just the equal treatment and perception of that.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
It's going to take a long time, but we got to start somewhere. And I think it's incredible just the amount of action that's been taken so far, especially by the young people. I'm super optimistic for the future. I feel like, our generation, sort of like the millennials onwards, they're action takers. Like they talk about like the climate change, with
Mhm.
Greta Thunberg and that movement. And then there was the Me Too movement as well. So I think we'll see a lot of change in the coming years as sort of the millennials, the younger generation moves into positions of power. And I think that's exciting to see.
Agreed. I think the fact that everything is coming to light and people are talking about it is mobilizing people into action. The problems that we were having in the past is no one was talking about it. So it was just like these hidden secrets that people were dealing with. But now it's all coming to light. So no one can pretend it's not happening anymore. Like it's happening. People are you're physically seeing the results of it. And I do think the technology of our day and age, having the ability to get everything on camera with our phones and whatnot, definitely kind of forces that issue because you can't hide anymore. Someone's always recording. So,
Both ends, right? Like from the government and then from the people back at the government. That's pretty interesting. um, but yeah, definitely. And just on the action taking, there's so many forms of action taking too. You can personally go into the in-person demonstrations, or you can post about it on your digital channels to spread awareness, or you can donate to this charity who will fund this great cause. So many ways. And if you all enjoyed this episode, consider donating.
Yay.
All right. So with that being said, let's go into the topic of the day. So solar, it's such an interesting topic because people have heard about it a lot. And I think we as a society, we're aware of it, but not fully. And I think there's definitely great value to be gained from just going a little below the surface level, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just to begin with, Badiana, tell us, how's it going in your world right now? How has COVID affected your business and all the good stuff?
So COVID-19 definitely has affected everyone's life in some way, shape, or form. There was a period where we were all nervous that this could severely impact the solar industry because a lot of what my team does and what my sector of the business does is we are interacting with homeowners and educating them on the process of going solar, seeing if they qualify to go solar. And if they do, we help them through that process. So now COVID-19 happens and we're like, we can't be within 6 feet of anyone. And then technically a lot of us were scared to be in contact with anyone because of how easily this virus was spreading. So we're like, so what do we do now? We can't be in person with our homeowners. How do we operate?
Right.
So within 24 hours, we had to change our entire business structure and no longer be an in-home field solar sector. We had to become virtual.
Mm-hmm.
So just like we are doing this amazing Zoom meeting for your show, we are doing something very, very similar for our homeowners. So I'm able to, or my team, I should say, is able to now conduct solar consultations virtually for our homeowners who are interested in learning about the process of going solar. So we now stay at home, all work from home, and we communicate with our homeowners via the computer and try to continue to build that relationship with them virtually and help them through the process.
That's
So
awesome.
complete change.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone, I feel across the board has had to make a quick like 180 in terms of how they operate business. Me as a realtor, I go from meeting people face to face, having lunch and showing properties to like, hey, I'm going to FaceTime you. I can't even like be in the same house with you.
Right.
Oh, you got to wear gloves, mask, and all the fun stuff. But I think this has been a great learning experience across the board, just for everybody in terms of how to shift their business and get with the times. It's more like a wake up call than like an eventual like, hey, you have to move your processes online. It's better to maybe cut down on the commuting time instead of driving to these people's homes and meeting with them. Maybe you can do a Zoom meeting, cut back on the commuting time, maybe squeeze in a couple more meetings a day, right?
You were spot on there, Leo.
Yeah,
Cutting down the commuting time, being able to work from home. These are all things that I know millennials and varying age groups were like, hey, why aren't we able to do this? But a lot of organizations and companies didn't see the value. They were like, no, let's keep it traditional. Let's all go to an office. And I still see the value in that. But this actually forced everyone to realize like you can be extremely productive and extremely successful. Operating a business where your employees are working from home. So this was definitely proof in the pudding that working from home is possible, and you can still drive productivity with your team and your employees that way.
definitely. And just on a managerial perspective, I think it's just super useful and beneficial to have proper systems in place. I mean, I myself, when the quarantine first hit, I did enjoy myself a little too much than I should have. Too much TV, just lounging around, having fun, because you're at home and you normally associate home with relaxing, with fun, and not necessarily full work mode.
Yeah.
So I definitely had to develop some systems to keep me on track and things like that. So
Yes, you are 100. You could. You honestly cannot be successful working at home if you don't have a dedicated space. I think is really important.
yeah,
And for it to work, otherwise home becomes work, and like you can't differentiate it.
hmm
Um, and I think that's super essential to be able to differentiate home from work. It's just great for mental health. And
yeah.
then also just having like a plan of what your day should look like. So, hey, my day is going to start here. I actually should probably like brush my teeth and wear like a decent outfit. Like
Yeah,
really just get yourself in the headspace of, even
right.
though I'm at home, I have to be in work mode. So like getting dressed and like cleaning yourself up so you're ready for a whole day of Zoom meetings and Zoom calls and checking in on the whatever business areas that you need to check in on.
Definitely, definitely. And just to take a step back too, for the folks that aren't aware, would you mind explaining a little bit like what is solar? How does it work?
So solar is PV units. I don't want to get too technical, but it's essentially PV units that we install on a homeowner's home. And it is a clean way to power your home without relying on fossil fuels. And this solar movement came about because the whole, like you mentioned earlier, the climate change situation. We're obviously seeing some severe damage to Mother Earth, and this solar movement came about to prevent some of the damage that we were doing with fossil fuels, oils, and whatnot, and coal. So what we do is we basically essentially turn a homeowner's home into a power plant, and that power plant is set, like the solar is the axis of power, so it's installed on the home, and then the sun hits that solar PV array, and then that solar then with an inverter inverts into DC power and AC power that that you use in your home, and you power your home with the solar panels. That's kind of like the quickest way I can explain it without getting too technical.
Yeah.
And essentially, like you now are a person who has control, predictability of your energy usage because you are now creating your own power on your own home rather than pulling it from the grid.
Right, right. So essentially, instead of having these power plants and these different energy sources, derive them from oil, from nuclear, and whatever they have, you just use the sun, which
Mhm.
for the most part comes up every day.
Yeah,
And then you sort of harness that with these PV panels, and you sort of convert it into usable energy.
absolutely.
Right. Um, so in terms of like the benefits, what are maybe like a couple benefits of like going solar for a regular person at home?
Benefits of going, oh my gosh, there's so many. But some
Right.
of the some of the basic benefits are having control and predictability over your electric usage. Um, so as we all know, like the grid infrastructure, it's getting dated, it's a bit old, and we've noticed that there has been a massive price increase, just goes consistently upward. It's something that it's a bill that we have to pay. So we're most of the time we're completely desensitized to how expensive it's been getting over the duration of like 2, 3, 5, 10 years, depending on how long you've been in a home. And what solar does is it actually allows you to generate that energy, but in a clean way and at a lesser cost.
Hmm.
So cost benefit. Then if you are an environmentalist, like obviously I'm in the solar industry, I believe in climate change.
Hmm.
The solar that you have put on your home actually is you are like inversely affecting like the CO2 that you're putting out in the world. So you're basically reducing your carbon footprint immensely by going solar. So it's benefiting the environment as well as for the future generations. And then just government incentives on a local level and on a federal level,
Hmm.
you qualify for, depending, you most likely, if you're looking into solar, there's a way for you to qualify and get access to the government and local benefits that your state or the country has for you. So you usually get some sort of a discount or money or funding or get ingrained into a solar program or a solar incentive that allows you to make it even more affordable than already is.
Hmm. Gotcha. That's great. And yeah, just to elaborate on the predictability issue, I think it's super relevant for a person like me. So that the town I live in, there's just a bunch of trees around here, and
Hmm.
power, I mean, for the most part, is predictable. But whenever there's like a big rain or like an unexpected snow, the power will go out.
Got it.
And recently, like during the quarantine, we had it go out for I think almost a whole day.
Wow.
So it was just after lunch one day, the power went out, and it was fine and everything until it got to the night. And I was like, okay, wait, I need more light. Everything needs electricity.
Yes.
And
Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah,
You
no, I mean that just highlighted the importance of solar to me. I just thought back at my time at Tesla. I was like, huh, what if I went solar? You know?
You bring up a fantastic point, and it's also another benefit that I did not mention. So, yes, Leo, you are correct. What if you did go solar?
Yeah.
Solar also allows you to actually back up your home with a solar battery. So, they're called, and my company, it's called Brightbox. So essentially what happens is you have a battery that's installed along with your solar panels, and your solar actually charges that battery. So when the power goes out, like you just said, and you're like, oh no, it's nighttime, it's not as fun to not have electricity when the sun goes down. It's totally manageable when the sun's still up.
Right.
What the Brightbox, the battery will do is actually will power your home.
Yeah.
So during a power outage, you will also have power, unlike everyone else around you, depending if they have not gone solar or not.
Right. And that's great.
It's huge. It's a
Yeah.
huge benefit.
Hmm.
Save your food, obviously give you peace and stability, and of course, let you continue to live comfortably with power during an outage.
Definitely. And also, just to go on that too. So my town, they installed a bunch of solar panels
Mhm.
by the dump. There was just like some, I guess, some clean area or like some open area,
Yeah.
and I think it generated over 400,000 in savings for the town. Now our town's super small. It's like 12,000 people. So
Yeah.
that's a significant chunk of change.
I completely agree. Hopefully that's going back right into the homeowners' pockets.
Yeah,
Helping keep making that
definitely.
lovely place that you live in.
Yeah, absolutely. And now speaking of home, so do you know how does having a solar system affect the house value?
So, home value, um, installing solar panels on a home reduces the monthly utility bills. So that's one added benefit. And if you were like, I'm a millennial, and I'm the group of people that are investing in real estate right now.
Mm.
And of course, I was also the group of people who have quite a bit of student loan debt. So, um, purchasing and investing in a home that has solar was super important to me.
Mhm.
And I also knew that getting a home that has solar, if I do for some reason feel the need to sell my home currently, which I don't plan on doing, but if I did, I knew that solar would actually have the ability to increase my home value at least a minimum of 4.1%
Mm.
more than comparable homes that don't have solar on it. And this has also been supported by research that Zillow and CNBC have done as well, based off of the trends and the research that they have done of like selling and homes with
Yeah,
solar versus homes without solar.
for sure, and that's great. And just speaking on that too, reducing the monthly utility is not only useful for you, um,
Mm-hmm.
being that you're in a multifamily home instead of a single family, so you have multiple families living in the same building instead of one family.
Yeah.
Helps reduce your tenants' utility bills too, right?
So with solar, so essentially it allows us to be able to reduce overall cost to our tenant in the sense that we have, so our solar our solar unit can only tie into 1 meter
Mhm.
in a multifamily home.
Yeah,
So right now it's tied into our meter, but our overage, so we accrue credits
got
and those credits can then be transferred to our tenants and also the common meter to reduce their overall expenses.
got it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is really cool.
Yeah. And now just can you talk a little bit about just your experience buying a home with solar? Um, I mean, versus like whatever else is.
So when we were in the home buying process with you, Leo,
Yeah.
we I so you gave obviously you gave we were doing our research and whatnot, and of course I'm in the solar industry and I am a firm believer and firm advocate of this product. I have it on my home. I see the benefit of my electric bill. My husband and I literally get excited when we see our bill, and it's like, yay, negative $100. We have
Yeah.
credits to disseminate to the
Yeah.
we can disseminate to the tenants or to our common meter,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
Solar for me was like a no-brainer. If we had the opportunity to get a house that had solar, then we were going to go that route. We had we were very focused on getting an investment property for our first home, and it was always been a dream of mine and like a lifelong life goal of mine to start building my investment property portfolio. So I was like, I mean, we're young. Do we really need to have a single family at this point? We don't have kids yet. So I was just like, let's just get an investment property, get comfortable with that process, being landlords. And then when you contacted Prash and you were like, hey, I can help you. I'm a realtor and I can help you out. Prash was like, I found a realtor. It just all fell into place
Yeah.
very organically. And it was like, we had the thought, like, we're ready to look into a house. And then you came into the scene just reaching out to Prash, and you were a realtor. And Prash was like, I found our realtor. And I'm like, yes. And then we contacted you. And it was like a week and a half, you had a whole list of properties for us. And you're like, I've already set up viewings for you guys. We're going to hit 5 homes in this area based off of what we discussed. And that same day, we hit those 5 homes and we made an offer. And our offer got accepted in 48 hours. So, Leo, I don't think anyone's home buying process goes as smoothly as ours did. We didn't go through bidding wars.
Yeah.
It was just like the cleanest, most seamless process, and I just could not anticipate how easy it was for us to get our property. It was
Yeah.
so easy, so shockingly easy, and I'm like, I
Awesome.
don't think this is how it really goes for most people, but we were very fortunate, and a lot of that had to do with your thorough planning and
Mm-hmm.
you were just quick to move. You didn't waste any time.
Definitely. And I appreciate those words. I'm glad that you enjoyed the whole process and I sort of made it easier for you, because that's not the experience.
That's the experience for like anyone I've talked to.
Right, right. And it just going back to our conversation earlier, this really goes back to like systems and discipline and just having good um, ways to work and get things done.
Yeah, agreed.
Sometimes when you see the right thing, you just have to learn to move.
Yeah,
I know that's something I've had to train myself out of doing, because for me, I'm a person that loves to research. I'm like, okay, wait. Let me take a look at this, da 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 da. But that's made me miss a few opportunities here and there. So I've learned to be more decisive in my action, and it
agreed.
really helps.
It does help. You were great there. And I think we were all like, we communicated really well with each other. So you knew what we were trying to do. You understood it fully. We communicated that, assuming effectively to you, because you were like, all right, this is what we got to do. And then it just
Yeah.
happened so quickly and all fell into place and very fast.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And just going back to the solar discussion briefly. So I remember in my time at Tesla, when I was talking to different people about solar, some people say, "Oh yeah, solar, it's a no-brainer. I'm going to save money," but my wife doesn't like how it looks. What do you say about that?
Oh, geez, the aesthetics objection. I've heard it so many times that it's like I'm like desensitized to it. But this is how I view it. So we'll pretend this is when we were back in the field. But I'm a visual person. I'm a visual learner. So I always like to show people things when they ask me a question. So I always acknowledge their concern. Like, I understand aesthetics. Some people don't like the way solar looks. Some people, and you are one of those people, understand that, Mr. or Mrs. Homeowner. And then I usually walked them to their window and proceeded to show them the power lines that were cascading through their trees, across their yard, lining their streets. And I would just simply ask them, what do you think about the way that looks?
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, oh, well, yeah, I guess, yeah, it doesn't really look that great. And I'm like, and then I'd be like, how have you even noticed them? And they're like, yeah, I actually haven't really noticed them. I don't really take a look. I know the power lines are hanging right now and they don't look that great, but I don't even really notice them. And I'm like, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, that's exactly what solar does. You're going to have them on your roof and you're never going to see them after that. They're going to just blend into the scenery, just like these these awesomely looking power lines are doing for you right now. So it's no different. It's just going to blend into the scenery within minutes, and you're going to not notice them. And then I also usually show them across the street or across the way if they have neighbors that have solar. I'm like, have you noticed the solar in their house? And they're like, yeah, I haven't really noticed it. I'm like, yeah, because you just start getting used to seeing the same thing over and over again, and you don't even realize that it's there.
Yeah, for sure.
So just reminding them it's more of a psychological thing than anything. It's just like, it's new to them. So it's like, oh, this is new, this is jarring, but they're dealing with more eyesores outside of their home than solar.
For sure. It's entirely a mental thing.
Yeah.
Slightly relevant, but like before I started wearing hats, I'm like, whoa, I can never rock a hat. No,
yeah.
It just looks so weird. And then I put it on, I was like, ah, no, it looks so weird. And then, I started wearing it for more and more. And it's like, okay, I could pull it off. And now I kind of like wearing a hat.
Exactly. I had the same experience with lipstick.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, no, lipstick does not suit me. It makes me look like a clown. And then my mother-in-law was like, what are you talking about? You can rock lipstick. And she put it on me. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I can get used to this. And then now I love it.
There you go. That's awesome. And also speaking of just technology too, I mean, through the years, like through the past like 5, 10 years, the solar technology has just changed so much.
Hmm.
I know a lot of people that I spoke to back in the day, their perception of the solar panels are just like random, like backyard science projects. You get these like big clunky things that are like, what is that?
Yeah.
But as you've seen, like the newer panels, they look much better. And I think a couple of days ago they've announced this double-sided panel or something that sort of tracks the sun and
Oh, yeah.
the efficiency of the panels. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. They are definitely coming up with new ways to diversify the solar industry with like ones that are in the yard that might track the sun and whatnot, and of course making the ones that are on rooftop more sleek. The how it's being used is still the same from in the past, but just making it more aesthetically thinner and sleeker so it doesn't come up off the roof as much, making it way less noticeable than they were in the past when you were using like boiler water heater solar, which were huge, clunky, on like a rack that was sticking up off your roof like 4 feet. So long gone are those days. Now it's all just
Yeah,
sleek and kind of evenly placed on your roof.
for sure.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, Tesla's working on the solar roofs, and I'm sure. I mean, it for those of you that don't know, it's just it looks like a regular roof,
Yeah.
but the entire roof is just made of solar panels, and you don't even notice that. And frankly, it looks better than a regular roof. And I'm pretty sure, like sooner or later, companies like Sunrun and all these other companies will catch up. And I think it's for the betterment of society. Makes solar more aesthetically acceptable, more physically attainable, and
Hmm.
financially viable for people.
Absolutely. It's definitely becoming more commonplace and way more accessible for a ton of homeowners. Like the growth in this industry has been tremendous.
Definitely. And yeah, I don't know if you probably read about this, but in California they passed a bill saying all new homes need to have solar on them.
That is correct. New York has done something similar. They're thinking that Massachusetts is probably going to follow suit. And the reason being for that movement is solar has had a tremendous decade. So if you look back from 2010 to 2020, more than 2 million residents in the United States have installed solar.
Hmm.
So, and it's just continuing to grow from that point. So the industry is definitely not going anywhere. The grid, as well as the local government and federal government, maybe not so much right now, but have seen the value of continuing to have incentives for this program. And what essentially is going on is now certain states like California, the more progressive states that had solar for the last decade are mandating it now for new homes because it's looking like it's the future and it's the only way that we're going to be able to support the electric demand that we need as a society now. Like we have one person nowadays has like 4 to 5 devices per head. If you have a house of 5 people that have 4 to 5 devices each, we are using a lot more electricity than we were using in the past. And our grid is only getting older and older, and it's not able to withstand all of the electricity that we need as a society. So we had to come up with an alternative, that was much cleaner for our environment. So it's the only way forward, in my opinion.
Definitely. And
Yeah,
we definitely seen, and correct me if I'm wrong, just a sharp uptick in the electricity usage because of the quarantine. Yeah,
absolutely.
everyone's at home. They're running their devices, like you said, their Alexas, their smart homes, their TVs,
Hmm.
their workout equipment. I mean, that's got to take a big burden on the infrastructure, which is not too new. And these are over 100 years old.
I know, and it's only gonna get worse now that we're all basically working from home and have like just we're demanding way more electricity than we did probably 2 months ago.
Hmm.
So those electricity rates are only just going to continue to go up and up to support the demand and to maintain the current old grid.
Well, definitely. And just for the people out there, people at home looking at this, if they're interested in solar, what options do they have?
So depending on the company that you work with, of course, I support Sunrun. We have 4 options, and this is kind of standard. Other companies might have 2 options, but it's usually the lease. So leasing solar, which usually makes a lot more sense. I know there's a stigma around leasing because of like the automotive industry, but when it comes to solar, leasing often makes a lot more sense for people because it's immediate upfront savings. And then the other option is to buy. So we have the option to lease. You can do a prepaid lease, which ends up being really cheap if you can come out of pocket up front for it. And then you can do a loan to purchase it. So we'll help you finance it at a low interest rate, and then you can just buy it up front. So we give you a few options to make sure that if this is something that you want to look into, we have multiple options that suit your family's needs and your family's finances and what you need at this moment to be able to go forward with solar.
Definitely. And just for those of you interested, Badiana, would you mind sharing your contact or your website so people can get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you can get in touch with me on LinkedIn. So you can search Badiana Badio, spelled Badiana, last name Badio, Badio. Another place, if you want to contact me directly about the solar industry, if you're really interested, I actually have a personal URL for my solar industry, and it's gosunrun.com/Badiana Badio.
Nice. Awesome. Sounds good. I'll make sure to link that below just so people can click on it easily. But just so we're running out of time, and just to wrap it up, just one fun question. What is one thing that you can't live without?
This will be an easy one for me. I can't live without traveling.
Oh, okay.
And obviously, this whole COVID-19 situation is preventing me to travel like I did. But beginning of the year, I got to go to Iceland with 7 of my closest
Yeah,
friends, which was incredible before the whole world shut down.
for sure.
And I just love watching humans interact in their environments, and traveling allows me to do that. And it allows me to compare and contrast. Like, obviously, I'm an American girl, so I just want to be able to expand my horizons and see like how my upbringing differentiates from another person's life and interactions and experiences, socioeconomic circumstances in another country, like how that impacts them, how it impacts their quality of life, and like just do a compare and contrast and like what my life could have been if I lived in a different country, or if I lived in this different area. So it gives
Right.
me a little snapshot into another person's life. So I love that, and
Yeah,
it just makes me more empathetic and more globally minded and more willing to learn and adapt and more resilient, and especially in trying times like this.
definitely. And I think there's a lot of value to be gained just from people interacting with other people from different backgrounds and different perspectives. And I
Mhm.
know that that's why I love traveling, and getting to know people of different backgrounds. Because I mean, in this day and age, people are so connected, and there's so many different like points of view,
Yeah,
and it's useful to understand like, hey, this is how they communicate, so that you don't potentially misunderstand them or cause any sort of conflict. So,
agreed. Agreed. Just be a
yeah,
well-rounded human being.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'll just summarize sort of what we spoke about today. So we sort of broke it down. We went a little bit below surface level. I mean, if you and I spoke about this, actually, we could go for days and just talk and talk and talk. But there's just a lot of benefits for the average person to incorporate solar power into their house, both financially and visually and all that good stuff. Plus, the government gives you some incentives too. And if you'd like to learn more, I'll put the information for Badiana down below. And I'm pretty sure she'll help you out, point you to the right direction, and tell you the best ways to go solar. And definitely, if you learned a thing or two, I would urge you to donate to today's charity, the Black Lives Matter organization. So that would be linked below as well. And thank you all for watching. Anything else to add, Badiana?
Now I just want to say thank you so much for letting me chat with you on your show, and have a great one, everyone. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed talking to everyone.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Badiana. All right, thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you next week.
See you
Bye now.
soon. Bye.